I'm so gone.
I don't follow behind man.
Am I wrong?
Cause I know who I am.
Huh? I'm so gone.
Off in another dimension. This world not even in my vision. Nah.
I'm so gone.
I don't follow behind man.
Am I wrong?
Cause I know who I am.
Huh? I'm so gone.
Off in another dimension. This world not even in my vision. Nah.
I'm so gone.
Shalom, shalom, peace everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Theory of Mind Control. I'm your host, Mikayah, and this is episode 7, titled, Be Still and Know. Be still and know. First and foremost, I want to say all praise to the Most High Yah, all praise to the mighty Yahweh, creator of heaven and earth, creator of all that is, Toda Yah. And I also want to say this series, this show, everything that I'm doing here, I'm dedicating to my Mikayah Yisrael. To my Mikayah Yisrael. Yes, that is my the one who gave birth to me, who brought me here and gave me a lot of understanding of who I am, introduced me to my father Yahweh, who raised me up and instilled a lot of love, faith, and just a wonderful, wonderful woman, a wonderful, wonderful spirit. So Toda Yah for her, and I dedicate this whole series to her. So today, be still and know. So I didn't prepare anything today. I didn't prepare any talks. I didn't write anything down or anything like that. Today, this episode, I'm just gonna, kind of speak just as I am, and let my heart and mind be one in all that I'm saying, and just let it come as it is, and that is kind of the point here, is that the Most High tells us, that we should be blameless. And that word blameless also means to be whole. It means to be whole. And it's important that we understand what it is to be whole. Because when the scriptures tell us to be still and to know, to be still and know, that doesn't necessarily mean just stop what you're doing, just give up everything and just, sit down. And in some cases that could apply to that. And that could very well help and lead to something, productive. However, to be still is to still the mind, and still the heart. Because a lot of times within us, our minds are rushing and racing this way and moving that way. And our hearts are rushing and racing this way. And they're not working together in unison. So we have things in our heart that we're not going after with our minds, and, things in our mind that we're not going after with our heart. And when we do that, we disassociate from ourselves, from our very selves. And we take on these ideas and these concepts, these suggestions that come, at us in life. And we never really, achieve our divine purpose, because the purpose that is divine is whole. It is whole. A purpose that is divine is there is oneness there. There is wholeness there. There is blamelessness. One who walks in their integrity, in their innocence, is whole with themselves. So it's important that we understand that is one of the greatest ways to receive divine inspiration, to receive divine guidance, is to be whole. And one of the major ways of doing that is being honest to yourself. We have to be honest with ourselves. You know what I'm saying? And this is what I'm learning. So I'm not here, don't get me wrong. I'm not the judge that's here, with the gavel and all of that. I'm not here doing that. but I'm sharing my experiences, and I'm sharing what I'm learning in this life journey. So this is data. I'm sharing the data, in this experiment, this live, interactive, simulated animation, because that's what this is. It's a live, interactive, simulated animation. I'm not here, to do anything. I'm just sharing the data, that I've collected. And this is what I'm understanding. This is what I've learned, that this is it's a huge program here, and a lot of things out here in nature are, designed, to as like signs and guides, and we utilize these things in nature to understand ourselves better, to understand different aspects of our minds, different aspects of our hearts, looking at the sun and the moon and the stars and the trees, and just it's so many things and great details, like the fractals that come out of it, and the Most High saying His word, is it won't come back to Him void. And understanding, ultrasound, and understanding all these things and how sound waves work, and so it's all there to teach us something about ourselves, so it's very important that we take the time out to realize that when, things are going wrong, or things we may perceive them as going wrong, or things are negative, there's an opportunity for us to overcome, just kind of like a surfer, right, who's out there surfing and riding the waves and stuff. When he see those big waves come, that's not a threat, that's a challenge. That's a challenge. So when we see these big waves come in life, long as we know that we're walking in our innocence and our integrity, then that's a challenge. You see, you have the fear. I understand that people fear what they don't understand. I get that. I just want to say that fear is attached to guilt in a lot of ways, because when you know that you're not whole with yourself, when you know that there are skeletons in your closet, so to speak, that fear, can come from that guilt, so some things that you face, you may be more afraid of it only because you feel like that is, recompense for something that you've done, or something that you're guilty of, and you can eliminate that when you walk in your innocence and in your integrity. Hey, look, I'm walking uprightly in my innocence and my integrity. I have nothing to fear. So you'll take on that type of mentality. And I'm not saying I am, because, hey, by no means am I perfect, but this is a journey, and it's a challenge. And hey, we all, those of us who are still here, we're up for the challenge, and we're taking it on as best as we can. But we do have to understand that we have to remain whole with ourselves. We have to remain one with ourselves as we take on this challenge. Because once we divide from ourselves, our hearts from our minds, then we become, enemies within ourselves. We argue within ourselves. We become, indecisive about things, and about decisions that we want to make in life, about who we are, about our identities, and so many different things that that separate us from ourselves. So it's important that we understand that sometimes we have to just be still and know in our hearts, our true intentions, what's really happening. Understand that this wave is a challenge. Understand that, if we have nothing to be guilty of, then there is nothing to fear, and that we take on a challenge in our innocence and our integrity, because, Yahweh is not here to oppress the innocent. The cause and effect of all experience, the causality of all experience of life itself is not here to oppress the innocent, but to raise up and deliver the innocent. That is the purpose. But the innocent must understand, love, understand judgment, and understand righteousness. And in order to understand those things, you have to have experiences that teach you. You have to have the experiences that teach you. So it is important, that when we have those experiences that teach us, if we're walking in our innocence and in our integrity, that we should know in our hearts that we are innocent, know that we are not guilty, and not be afraid, not be afraid, and extend mercy, where mercy is required. I'm going to say that, because you have to know to whom you do a kindness, but extend mercy to where mercy is required, because, that mercy, that relativity, that is how you increase your voltage. That's how you gain more power. And when you withhold that mercy, you lose power that way. You lose power. So it's important that we understand, that, and when I say that, it's not just about you giving, and it's not just about you doing for others, because of course those are signs of mercy, but it's also about how you think about others, how you think about yourself, your inner thoughts, your inner dialogue with yourself. We tame our children on how to speak, on how to behave, and how to carry themselves. But do we even tame our conscious mind on how to do these things? How our conscious mind speaks within ourselves, how it, the type of language it uses, the type of cadence it uses, the very character of the conscious mind that is within you. Are you taming that? Are you disciplining that? It's important that we understand that we must do that, because that is how we achieve wholeness. If we allow that voice in our head to have its own identity, then we're not even, who are we even to the voice? Because the voice is then in control. The voice could frustrate you. The voice could cause you to do all kinds of things, because it's putting, where's this voice coming from? And the type of mentality it has to be tamed, so that you can be one. There shouldn't be any voice within you that is apart from you. And it should be in your heart, and you should be one and not divided against yourself. This is a challenge of mine, being divided against myself. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to be divided against myself. I want to be whole. So when I speak, I want to be, whole in what I'm saying. I don't want to have to withhold for this reason or for that reason, just as everybody should, because that is true freedom. Your soul needs to be free. You know, you should be able to express yourself. And I know that can be offensive to some people because it's just like, oh, well, you know, you can express yourself and then you can hurt people's feelings. You can cut people down with your words. You could do this, you could do that. Yeah, I do understand that aspect. However, if the things that are coming out of your mouth are in truth and are in righteousness, then it's necessary. You know, they say the truth hurts. You know, they say the truth hurts. And so, you know, sometimes it's good to even confess, even if you by yourself, to just confess whatever it is. And you may not have done anything wrong to somebody. It was just maybe, like I said, something that you thought, maybe a way that you felt. Whatever it is, just confess, just get it out. Sometimes you just have to say it. You know, you just have to express yourself. And it's important. You know, even if you want to say you talking to the voice in your head, whatever it is, get on one accord with yourself and be one and be whole. You know, I like when a couple years ago, when the whole world was going through this big thing that everybody was going through, it was like, man, there was so many people that wanted to say things and they were afraid to say them. And I'm not just saying like publicly, like on the news or whatever, on TV. Like, I'm talking about regular, everyday people, you know, that felt different ways about things that were going on and were afraid to say it. This was like the biggest mass dissociation that, you know, that I've ever seen, where people really just hid away from themselves, you know, and people were afraid to say how they really felt about stuff. You know, people were afraid to address that with other people in public. And, you know, everybody kind of looked at each other with the side eye trying to figure out, what are you on? You know what I'm saying? And it's happening in other ways too, you know. A lot of us, we see things in entertainment and just call it the agenda, you know. But even that is something that a lot of people are afraid to talk about with each other, because you don't know how other people feel. And people are not being whole. People are not being one with themselves. You know, people are not being real. And then even when it comes to racism, you have the same thing. You have this whole thing where people are not being whole and not being true to themselves, and are pushing for ideas and concepts that they think other people want or other people need, or whatever the case, to please, you know, being a people pleaser instead of being a truther. You know, sometimes you got people that go out to other places and kind of see how people are living in those other places, and you know, and you have these communities of people who are kind of set apart from society, and you go and you visit them and kind of see what's going on. And a lot of times those people, they're whole with themselves. You know, they're able to just, they'll tell you, you know, straight up, hey, I don't like this kind of people. I don't want to be around them. I don't want to, you know, mix with them. I don't want to this, that, and the third. And that's just how I feel about it. Well, hey, you know what? There is nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. It shouldn't be anything wrong with that. If you look at nature, that is how nature works. You have a lot of animals that you know, stick to their own kind. Birds of a feather flock together. What is wrong with that? Where's the lie? Nobody should be protesting against that. If that's how a people want their community to be, there should be no protest against that. whatsoever. But you have this thing, where there is a protest against it, and it's not right, it's this, it's that, it's this, it's that. Well, there's no unrighteousness in what is being displayed. Now, the unrighteousness comes is when, when those others that you don't want to be a part of decide to do the same for themselves, and you go seeking to destroy or go seeking to sabotage whatever it is that they built for themselves. Now, that is where the unrighteousness comes in, because it's like, hey, man, if you got what you got going on, and I respect that. I got what I got going on, respect that. Don't, you know what I'm saying? So then that's when that becomes a problem. But if people can have their individual societies and do what they do, then, it shouldn't be a problem. I mean, it shouldn't be an issue, as long as, you're not trying to interfere with the others or sabotage the other society in any kind of way, unrighteously. You know what I'm saying? So, in that regard, you know what I'm saying? So you have these things, man, where people are not able to be, or don't feel free enough to be one with themselves, to be whole and express how they feel. And, because they're afraid that society, will disapprove, or they're afraid and that, they don't know how what this person views is on this, or that person views is on that. And it's just this weird thing that goes on. And it has to, that has to cease within us as individuals, because people talking about healing the world and people coming together and this, that, and the third. You can't come together with people that's not whole with themselves, that's divided against themselves. You can't come together with people that, that hate themselves. They don't love themselves. How you gonna love somebody else? You know what I'm saying? It'll just be a selfish love, So we have to understand how to become whole with ourselves. So be still and know yourself, understand your experience, understand the truth of your emotions versus a suggested emotion, versus a concept, an idea that you might have seen acted out on television, that you might have read in a book, with a similar scenario that, that played out a certain type of way, that you may be thinking would play out in your life. Sometimes we have to reevaluate, because a lot of times the television shows and the books, a lot of times those things are written in that way in order to suggest a certain way of thinking. Everybody's not out here just expressing their heart out of wholeness and purity. Everybody's not out here just sharing their experiences. You have many who seek to implant ideas, concepts, characteristics into people for a purpose, for multiple purposes. That's important for us to remain whole, because once you are divided, then you're open to that suggestion. You're vulnerable, because you're looking for other ways, to cope, other ways to rationalize whatever it is. And so you're vulnerable. Fear opens the heart to correct decisions. So yeah, it's just important that we understand that. And with the Bible keys, I want to get on that real quick, because I don't want to be too long. But with the Bible keys, that was put together over a number of years and through a lot of different things. that we experienced, and a lot of pain, a lot of negative experiences, a lot of positive experiences, um, a lot of revelations, a lot of dreams, a lot of research, reading, studying, um, a number of things, and that's how it was developed. And just going through those things, things were added, and to be honest with you, this all really, I would say, kicked off in like late 2012, early 2013. And that's when me and my wife linked together. And ever since then, you know, we really just, we really been seeking the Most High in truth and in righteousness. And, not to say that we've been righteous in all that we do and say, but we've been seeking the Most High and desiring His righteousness and desiring His truth. And I know people may have problems with the terminologies we use and all of those things, but if you understand, it the way we see it, and that's just how it is with anything, but it's been explained, but these charts, these Bible keys, they really explain things in a much higher perspective, and it removes these stories, there's so many stories in the Bible, there's plenty of stories in the Quran as well. But these books, they have a bigger story to tell. It's not just about this person descended to this person and descended to that person that did this and that did that. A lot of these stories represent different states of consciousness that we possess, algorithms, right? Patterns of thought that we possess that manifest in many different ways, It's kind of like this movie I watched years ago called Time Machine. And in the movie, this guy, his lady, his wife, she had passed away, and he invented a time machine. I think he was already working on one. He was doing something, but he perfected this time machine and chose to go back in time to save her life. And I don't remember all of the details, but I do remember that he had to go back in time so many times, and she would pass away a different way each time. But she would always pass away. It just happened a different way. You know what I'm saying? I thought that was real interesting, man. I really did, because it's like when it comes to these states of consciousness, it's like it could be, certain patterns of thought that could manifest in these large variations of ways, and it's like you have elements that react different kind of ways, right? But you can put them in these different scenarios, and it can cause different type of things to happen, but it's the same element at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? So this is kind of like what's going on with the scriptures. You have all these different stories, and it happens with us. We can apply it to our lives and all these different things, because these are different states of consciousness. And so when you understand it in the way that the charts explain, you can understand how to take control over your consciousness, over your mind, your pattern of thought, and even control the negative thoughts that come to mind, those voices that come to your head, and learn to tame it better. Understand the negative experiences that you have in life. And it helps to overcome. It helps me anyway, and it's not even just about just being content. It's not about being content, but it's about being grateful. It's about being in love, And once you learn how to be in love with the Creator, there's no more fighting, It's like the Most High don't want to have to force you to love Him, So once you fall in love with the Creator, and I just want to clarify this. A lot of people may, hear me say, oh, the Most High, him, he, right? And so I'm going to tell you, and that's why another reason why the church is good. But, outside from that and outside from the scriptures, understanding that, that the manifestation, the physical reality represents the negative, the female, and the etheric represents the male energy. So, the physical manifestation. And when I say female, male, in that aspect, then it's not necessarily gender. But we just talking about energy as far as, that physicality versus something, in the etheric. So in that regard, whatever, it translates as, he being the etheric energy that, is essentially a source of our subconscious, but is conscious itself. So, but yeah, the Most High, doesn't want to force us, at least I believe, doesn't want to force us to love Him, but to love Him out of our desire to appreciate and be grateful, to recognize Him, to look at our nature and recognize the intelligence that designed it, and give praise and give reverence, and to start to recognize how He is moving and working in our lives, and start to develop that personal relationship out of our own desire, out of our own will and want. And once we do that and learn to be whole with ourselves and learn to be whole with our Creator, then that divine intelligence will start to manifest itself in you, and then you will know, so that's the be still and know, because once you know, right? You can't unknow, right? I mean, unless it's the Most High's will for you to unknow, once He reveals Himself to you, and you can avoid all you want, You can avoid all you want, but once you know in your heart. And that's the thing about Judas. You see the whole Jesus and Judas thing. Judas, the name means Yah is revered, right? To revere, to reverence Yahweh, or Yah knows. Okay? So what happened was, you may say something is in your heart, or you may understand something and say, yo, I know this. But then when it comes time to take action, you fail to take action. You don't do it. See, that's the Judas betraying Jesus, because you knew in your heart what to do. You had the knowledge of relativity, of righteous relativity, but you did not apply it. And that's how you become Judas. You see, all of these stories, all of these parables are talking about these things. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. And that's what the Bible keys, the Kabbalah Bible, mind control is all about. It's understanding what's really going on and understanding how to use it in order to control our own minds, control our own hearts, our own patterns of thought, you know. So I'm just sharing what is being shared with me, the data that is being given to me. I'm sharing it. And it's cool because, you know, whenever I feel as though the knowledge was taken away from me, I can go to this data and restore, you know what I'm saying, confidence. Whenever I feel like, you know, I forgot. That's another thing about relativity, you know. It happens sometimes so suddenly that we forget that we need to apply that law. We forget that we need to, you know, reverence Yahweh in the circumstance. We forget causality, right? We forget. And it's important that we remember, you know, in the moment, because it can happen. You know, you can go, a circumstance can present itself, and all of those principles of how to, you know, control your energy or control your thought, they can go right out the window, and you just like, boom, because of this scenario. And then somebody could ask you, yo, what's, you know, and you like, yo, because this happened, because that happened, and it's like, yo, what you mean? You know what I'm saying? What you mean? Because this happened and because that happened. You know, the only thing you can control is your diet and your reaction to your experience. You know, so you mean that and this is cause you to become something else? You know what I'm saying? That's not who you are to respond or react that way. You know, so be you and one yourself. Let your heart and mind be one. Don't be a Judas and betray Jesus. If you say that this is your heart, this is who you are, then be that, you know? So, yeah. That's the moral of the story, man. Is to be still and know, you know? And that's the thing. And so, yeah, just understand that, that you know, these keys are very special, because once you start to read these stories, using them, then you will understand better, you know, what's really going on. And yeah, the people who wrote these things, you know, I will say this, man, the people who wrote these things, they can't be too far off, you know. They can't be too far off. It was, you know, it was written in it that it would be prophesied that the people who wrote it would interpret it, and that they would, you know, they would regain the knowledge, the prophecies, and all those things would come back. And that's what's happening now. So I don't know, you can say what you want. This is, you know, this is really groundbreaking, you know. And a lot of people won't appreciate it because they won't even receive it in their spirit. But those who do, they'll understand exactly what's going on. And hopefully that's you. Todah for this day. Todah for this whole session here. And I hope that this word is well with you. Shalom.
I'm so gone.
I don't follow behind man.
Am I wrong?
Cause I know who I am.
Huh? I'm so gone.
Off in another dimension. This world not even in my vision. Nah.
I'm so gone.
I don't follow behind man.
Am I wrong?
Cause I know who I am.
Huh? I'm so gone.
Off in another dimension. This world not even in my vision. Nah.
I'm so gone.